You are a slave, not to the world, not to your boss, and not to the economy. You are a slave to the voice in your head that never shuts up. It judges, it fears, it replays the past, and it predicts a catastrophic future. But that voice is not you. This is the most important truth you will ever learn. You are not the thinker. You are the one listening to the thoughts. The moment you realize this, the cage door opens. Welcome to the state of the silent observer. Stop reacting, start watching. Let's begin.
Chapter 1. The voice in your head is a liar. The greatest enemy you will ever face is not standing in front of you. It is not your boss, it is not the economy, it is not your ex-partner or your competitors. The greatest enemy you will ever face is right between your ears. It is the voice that is talking to you right now. Most people go through their entire lives assuming that the voice in their head is them. They assume that because a thought appears, it must be true. They assume that because they feel fear, there must be danger. They assume that because they feel unworthy, they are worthless. This is the fundamental error of the human condition. This is the cage you have built for yourself. And this chapter is the key to the lock. Here is the cold, hard reality. The voice in your head is a liar. It is a fabrication machine. It is a drama factory. It creates problems where there are none, and it amplifies pain until it becomes suffering. To become the silent observer, you must first understand the mechanism of the lie. You must understand the narrative fallacy. Let's look at your life. Let's look at your day. Something happens. That is a fact. Then you tell yourself what it means. That is a story. You must learn to distinguish between these two things immediately. If you cannot tell the difference between the fact and the story, you will be a slave to your emotions forever. Here's an example. The fact. Your boss walks past your desk and doesn't say hello. That is the only thing that actually happened. A human body walked past a desk. No sound was made. That is the raw data. That is the reality. But that's not where you stop, is it? You don't stay with the fact. You immediately generate the story. The story, he's mad at me. Did I mess up that report yesterday? They're probably going to fire me. If I lose this job, I can't pay my mortgage. I'm going to lose my house. I'm a failure. Look at what you just did. You took a silent moment, a neutral event, and you turned it into a catastrophe. You turned it into a survival threat. Your heart rate is up, your palms are sweating, you're flooded with cortisol. You are physically reacting to a disaster that has not happened. The story is not the truth. Repeat that to yourself. The story is not the truth. The fact is neutral. The story is the poison. And the problem is, you are addicted to the poison. You drink it every single day. You send a text to a friend, they don't reply for 3 hours. The fact, no data has been received. The story, they are ignoring me. I must have annoyed them. Nobody actually likes me. I am alone.
Do you see the madness? Do you see how you torture yourself? You are hallucinating. You are creating a nightmare in your own mind and then living inside it. Observe the story. Do not become the story. Why does your mind do this? Why is it so negative? It's not because you were broken. It's because your brain is a survival tool, not a happiness tool. Your brain is designed to scan for threats. 2,000 years ago, if you heard a rustle in the bushes and you assumed it was a lion,
you lived. If you assumed it was the wind and it was a lion, you died. So, your brain evolved to be paranoid. It evolved to assume the worst-case scenario. It is a safety mechanism. But you are not living in the jungle anymore. You are living in a modern world where the threats are emails, awkward glances, and text messages. Your ancient survival mechanism has become a parasite. This is the metaphor you need to burn into your brain. The unobserved mind is a parasite. And what does a parasite need to survive? It needs a host. It needs food. What does the mental parasite feed on? It feeds on your reaction. Every time you engage with a negative thought, you feed the parasite. Every time you argue with the voice in your head, you feed the parasite. Every time you let a thought create an emotional spike of fear, anger, or sadness, you are serving the parasite a 5-course meal. The parasite whispers, "You aren't good enough." You react, "Oh God, what if I'm not? I need to work harder. I need to prove myself." You just fed it. The parasite whispers, "They are disrespecting you." You react, "How dare they? I'm going to show them." You just fed it. As long as you react, the parasite grows stronger. The thoughts get louder. The anxiety gets deeper. You are caught in a loop. Thought, reaction. Stronger thought, stronger reaction. You have a choice. That's the key. You have a choice. You can choose to stop feeding the beast. How do you starve the parasite? You do not fight the thoughts. If you fight the thoughts, you are still engaging with them. You are still giving them attention. You are still feeding them energy. To starve the parasite, you must simply observe it.
Imagine you are sitting on a park bench. A crazy person walks up to you and starts screaming that the sky is made of purple jelly. Do you argue with him? Do you try to convince him he's wrong? Do you get offended? No. You don't need their permission to be crazy. You don't need to engage. You watch him. You think, that guy is shouting. And you go back to reading your paper. You attribute no value to his words. You must treat your own mind exactly like that crazy person in the park. When the voice says you're going to fail, do not argue. Do not panic. Just watch the thought. Label it. Say to yourself, there is a thought about failure. See the distance? See the separation? I am a failure is a lie. I am having a thought that I am a failure is the truth. The story is not the truth. When you label the thought, you detach from it. You step out of the river and onto the bank. You watch the water flow by, but you do not get wet. This requires discipline. It's not about intelligence. It's about discipline. It is about the relentless practice of catching the liar in the act. You will catch yourself slipping. You will find yourself 10 minutes deep into a fantasy argument with someone who isn't even in the room. You will find yourself stressing over a future that hasn't happened. When you catch yourself, do not judge yourself. That's just the parasite trying to get in the back door. Simply stop. Take a breath. Identify the lie. Identify the fact versus the story. Ask yourself, what actually happened? Then ask, what is the story I'm telling myself? Drop the story, keep the fact. This is how you reclaim your energy. Think about how exhausted you are at the end of the day. You are tired not because of the work you did, but because of the emotional energy you wasted wrestling with your own thoughts. You are tired because you have been feeding the parasite all day long. Stop feeding it. If you stop reacting, the thought loses its power. It withers, it fades, it creates silence. And in that silence, you find your true power. In that silence, you find the observer. Observe the story, do not become the story. You
are not the voice. You are the one who hears the voice. You are not the fear. You are the awareness of the fear. This is the first step toward total detachment. You must break the trust you have in your own mind. You must become skeptical of your own internal monologue. You must realize that 90% of your mental traffic is noise, garbage, and lies designed to keep you small and safe. But you don't want to be safe. You want to be free. To be free, you must stop listening to the liar. You must look at the facts. You must sever the emotional cord that ties you to your imagination. You have recognized the lie. You have separated the fact from the fiction. You have seen the parasite for what it is. But seeing it is only the first step. The parasite is fast. It strikes in a split second. It triggers your body before your mind even wakes up. You've exposed the enemy. Now you must learn to stop the attack before it lands. You need to master the timing. You need to control the gap between the trigger and the explosion. You mastered the truth. Now let's talk about mastering the moment. Chapter 2. Kill the reflex. Most people believe they are free. They believe they make choices. They believe they are the captains of their own souls. They are wrong. Most people are not captains. They are biological robots running on outdated software. They are puppets, and the world is full of puppet masters holding the strings. Someone insults you, you get angry. That is a string. Traffic is bad, you get stressed. That is a string. Your phone buzzes, you look at it. That is a string. Input, output, stimulus, response. There is no thinking involved. There is no you involved. There is only a reflex. Kill the reflex. If you want to detach from your mind, you must first destroy the automatic connection between what happens to you and what you do about it. You must stop living on autopilot. Right now, you are living in a state of constant reaction. You bounce from one external trigger to the next like a pinball. You are entirely predictable. If I know what triggers you, I own you. If your boss knows what scares you, he owns you. If your partner knows what buttons to push to make you scream, they own you. Being predictable is a weakness. Being reactive is slavery. You need to understand the mechanics of your own slavery so you can break the chains. It happens in a split second. An event occurs, the stimulus. Immediately, your nervous system fires, the response. The car cuts you off, you slam the horn. The email comes in with an urgent flag, your stomach drops. The criticism lands, you snap back. There is zero time between the event and the action. The two are fused together. But for the silent observer, they are not fused. The silent observer lives in the space between the event and the action. We call this the gap. Between the stimulus and the response, there is a space. In that space is your power to choose your response. In that response lies your growth and your freedom. Your entire life is defined by the size of that gap. For a weak mind, the gap is non-existent. For a strong mind, the gap is wide. It is a canyon. It is a fortress. Widen the gap. Do not react. Respond. This is the fundamental discipline of this book. You must learn to insert a wedge into that split second. You must pry it open. How do you do this? You do not do it with philosophy. You do not do it by hoping to be calmer next time. It's not about hope. It's about discipline. You do it physically. You do it with the pause technique. The moment you feel the spike, the moment the heat rises in your chest, the moment the urge to speak jumps into your throat, you must hit the manual override. Step 1. Shut your mouth. Literally, press your lips together. Do not let a single word escape. The reflex wants to speak, it wants to defend, it wants to attack. Deny it. Step 2. Breathe. Take one long, slow, deep breath through your nose. This is not just relaxing. This is biological warfare against your own instincts. When you are triggered, your body enters fight or flight. Your heart rate spikes, your vision narrows, you become stupid. You become an animal. By forcing a slow breath, you send a signal to your nervous system. We are safe. We are in control. You manually downshift your biology. Step 3. Look at the trigger. While you are breathing, look at the thing that upset you. Look at the rude person. Look at the bad news. See it as an object. Don't judge it. Just see it. This process takes 3 seconds. But in those 3 seconds, you change your destiny. In those 3 seconds, you move from robot to observer. In those 3 seconds, you move from slave to master. That's the key. You might think, I can't pause. I have to answer them immediately. If I don't answer, I look weak. That is the voice of the liar again. That is the parasite trying to trick you back into the cage. You don't need their permission to take up space. You don't need their permission to take your time. In fact, the pause does not make you look weak. It makes you look dangerous. It makes you look powerful. Think about the most powerful people you have ever met. Do they snap back instantly? Do they jitter and stutter and react? No. They are slow. They are deliberate. They are uncomfortably silent. When you pause, you disrupt the rhythm of the interaction. The other person is expecting a reaction. They are expecting the ping-pong match. When you don't hit the ball back immediately, they panic. They wonder what you were thinking. You shift the power dynamic instantly. Widen the gap. Do not react, respond. Let's define the difference. Reaction is emotional, immediate, and usually regretted later. It comes from the past. It comes from your insecurities. Response is logical, delayed, and strategic. It comes from the present. It comes from your goals. You are in an argument with your spouse. They say something hurtful. The reflex, you attack their character. You bring up something from 5 years ago. You scream. The result, the night is ruined, trust is broken, you feel ashamed. Now apply the gap. They say something hurtful. The pause, you feel the anger rise. You clamp your mouth shut, you take a breath, you observe the anger. You realize they are tired, they are lashing out. If I scream, we both lose. The response, you speak calmly. You address the issue, not the person. Or perhaps you say nothing at all. The result? You maintained your dignity. You did not escalate. You stayed in control.
You have a choice. Every single trigger is a fork in the road. Path A, the reflex. Easy, fast, destructive. Path B, the response. Hard, slow, constructive. You must choose path B every single time until it becomes your new default. This will be uncomfortable. Your body will scream at you to react. It will feel like you are swallowing fire. It's not about comfort. It's about discipline. You must become a sniper. A sniper does not pull the trigger because he is startled. A sniper pulls the trigger only when he has acquired the target, calculated the wind, and controlled his breath. Life is a series of targets. If you just spray bullets everywhere because you are emotional, you will hit nothing but your own feet. Start today. Start with the small things. When your computer freezes, do not curse. Widen the gap, breathe, wait. When someone interrupts you, do not sigh. Widen the gap, look at them, wait. When you drop your keys, do not get frustrated. Widen the gap, pick them up, move on. If you cannot control your reaction to a dropped set of keys, how do you expect to control your reaction to a crisis? How do you expect to lead a family or a business? You can't. You must kill the reflex in the small moments so you can own the big moments. This is a game of milliseconds. The more you practice the pause, the wider the gap gets. Eventually, the gap becomes so wide that you can set up a chair and sit in it. You can watch the world burn around you and not even flinch. That is the state of the silent observer. Widen the gap. Do not react. Respond. Remember, the stimulus is the invitation. The reaction is the RSVP. You do not have to attend every argument you are invited to. You do not have to attend every crisis you are invited to. Delete the invitation. Stay in the gap. Once you stop reacting, you stop being a machine. You stop being a collection of biological impulses. You clear the space for something else to step forward. When the noise of the reflex dies down, who is left standing in the silence? If you are not your reactions and you are not your thoughts, then what are you? You have mastered the moment. You have stopped the machine. Now, we must go deeper into the identity of the one holding the controls.
Chapter 3. You are not the thinker. Who are you? If I asked you that question right now, what would you say? You would probably tell me your name. You would tell me your job title. You would tell me about your history, your family, your struggles, and your personality. You would tell me a story. But as we established in Chapter 1, the story is a lie. So let's go deeper. If I cut off your hand, are you still you? Yes. If you lose your job, are you still you? Yes. If you change your name, are you still you? Yes. Now, let's look at your mind. If you have a thought, and that thought passes, do you cease to exist? No. If you are angry 1 minute and calm the next, did the you inside disappear and reappear? No. Here is the most radical, life-altering truth you will ever comprehend. It is the foundation of all mental toughness and all spiritual freedom. If you can observe the thought, you cannot be the thought. Think about your eye. Your eye can see a tree, it can see a wall, it can see your hand. But the eye cannot see itself. The subject cannot see the subject. The subject can only see the object. Therefore, if you can hear the voice in your head, you are not the voice. You are the one listening to it. I am the witness. I am not the thought. This distinction is the difference between insanity and clarity. Most people are merged with their thoughts. They are fused with their mind. When the mind says, I am worried, they believe they are worry. When the mind says, I am angry, they believe they are anger. They are drowning in the river because they think they are the water. You must step out of the river. You must realize that you are the bank. You are the solid ground watching the flow. The water is mud, then it is clear, then it is turbulent, then it is still. But the bank does not move. The bank does not change. You have a choice. You can be the water, endlessly thrashing and crashing against the rocks,
Or you can be the bank, observing the flow with total detachment. That's the key.
You are the awareness behind the noise. You are the screen on which the movie plays. The movie might be a tragedy. It might be a horror film. It might be a chaotic mess. But the screen is never burned by the fire in the movie. The screen is never cut by the knife in the movie. The screen remains white, pristine, and untouched. You are the screen. Your thoughts are just flickering lights. I am the witness. I am not the thought. To master this, you must begin to objectify the mind. You must stop treating your brain as self and start treating it as a tool. Your brain is an organ. It is biological hardware. It is no different than your hand, your liver, or your lungs. It has a function. Its function is to process data and ensure survival. Sometimes your hand cramps. You don't say, "I am a cramp." You say, "My hand is cramping." You massage it, you fix it, you move on. Sometimes your stomach growls. You don't say, "I am a growl." You say, "My stomach is empty." You feed it, you move on. But when the brain malfunctions, when it spins loops of anxiety, self-doubt, or rage, you say, "I am anxious, I am angry, I am broken." Stop doing that. It's not about being broken, it's about discipline. The discipline of language and the discipline of perspective. Treat the brain like a computer on your desk. Sometimes the computer runs a virus check. It slows down. It gets hot. It pops up error messages. Do you panic and scream, "I am a bad computer"? No. You look at the monitor. You say, "The machine is lagging." You wait for it to process. You reboot it if necessary. You must view your own mental turbulence with that same cold, mechanical detachment. My brain is generating anxiety right now. My mind is replaying a memory from 2018. The biological machine is releasing cortisol. See the difference? In the first version, you are the victim. In the second version, you are the mechanic. You are the operator. You don't need their permission, and they are your thoughts, to feel peace. You don't need the thoughts to stop in order to be calm. You just need to stop identifying with them. Let the machine run. Let it make noise. You stay in the seat of the witness. I am the witness. I am not the thought. Let's use another image, the sky and the clouds. You are the sky. Your thoughts are the clouds. Sometimes the clouds are white and fluffy. Sometimes they are dark and heavy. Sometimes there is a hurricane, thunder, lightning, wind, rain. It looks terrifying.
But has a storm ever hurt the sky? Can the wind blow the sky away? Can the lightning burn the sky? No. The sky allows the weather to happen, but it is not the weather. The sky is the vast, open space that holds the weather. You are that space. The problem is that you spend your whole life chasing the clouds. You try to grab the good ones and hold on to them. You try to push the bad ones away. You are exhausted because you are trying to control the weather. You have a choice. Stop chasing. Stop pushing. Be the sky. Let the storm rage. Let the anxiety scream. Let the anger burn. Do not touch it. Do not engage with it. Just watch it pass across the screen of your consciousness. Because it will pass. Everything passes. Only the sky remains. This is true power. Power is not controlling your mind so that it never has a negative thought. That is impossible. That is a fantasy. Power is having a negative thought and not flinching. Power is feeling the onset of panic and saying, I see you. You are just a cloud. I am the sky. I am the witness. I am not the thought. When you practice this, you become dangerous. You become untouchable. Imagine you are in a high-stakes negotiation. Your mind starts whispering, he's not buying it. You're losing. Lower the price. If you identify with that thought, you panic. You fold. You lose. But if you are the witness, you hear the thought like a radio playing in the background. You ignore it. You stick to the plan. You win. Imagine you are in the gym. Your mind screams, this is too heavy. Stop. Quit. If you identify with the thought, you rack the weight. You stay weak. If you are the witness, you observe the complaint. You say, the mind is complaining, and you do the rep anyway. It's not about comfort. It's about discipline. The discipline of separation. Start catching yourself in your speech. Stop saying, I am. I am is the most powerful command you can give your subconscious. Whatever follows I am becomes your reality. When you say, I am sad, you are claiming sadness as your identity. You are welding it to your soul. Change the language. I feel sadness. There is sadness in this body. My mind is projecting sadness. It sounds small, it sounds technical, but that's the key. It creates the wedge. It reminds you that the condition is temporary, but the self is permanent. You are the unchanging observer. You have been there since you were a child. Your body changed, your beliefs changed, your friends changed, but the I that looks out through your eyes, that has never changed. That is the silent observer. Rest in that. Trust that. When the chaos of the world and the chaos of your mind becomes too much, retreat into the witness. Step back. Zoom out. Look at your brain like a strange object sitting on a table. Watch it spin. Watch it glitch, but do not touch it. I am the witness. I am not the thought. Once you sever the link between your identity and your thinking, you gain a massive amount of freedom. But you will notice something else. When you detach from the thoughts, you still feel the physical vibration of them. You still feel the energy in your body, the heat, the tension, the pulse. The thoughts are the script, but the feelings are the actors, and the actors can be very loud. You have learned to watch the script without believing it. Now you must learn to handle the energy without drowning in it. You must learn to look at your dashboard and read the gauges without crashing the car.
Chapter 4. Emotions are data, not directives. You have been lied to your entire life. Society tells you to follow your heart. Movies tell you to trust your feelings. Songs tell you that your emotions are the deepest, truest part of who you are. This is a catastrophe. This advice is the reason you are stuck. This advice is the reason you make bad decisions.
If you follow your feelings, you will end up broke, alone, and miserable. Why? Because feelings are volatile. Feelings are irrational. Feelings change with the wind, the weather, and your blood sugar levels. To become the silent observer, you must fundamentally change your relationship with your emotions. You must stop treating them as orders from a commander. You must start treating them as data on a screen. Emotions are just information. That is it. Nothing more, nothing less. Think of your life as a high-performance vehicle. You are the driver. Your intellect, your logic, and your principles are the steering wheel. Your emotions? They are simply the lights on the dashboard. When you are driving down the highway at 100 miles per hour and the low fuel light comes on, what do? Do you scream? Do you cry? Do you cover your eyes and let go of the steering wheel? Do you drive the car into a tree because the light is orange? No, that would be insanity. You look at the light, you acknowledge the data, fuel is low. You make a calculated decision to pull over at the next station. You remain in control. The light did not drive the car. You drove the car. But in your actual life, you let the dashboard drive. You feel a flash of anger. That is a check engine light. But instead of analyzing it, you slam your foot on the gas and crash into a relationship. You feel a pang of fear. That is a hazard light. But instead of assessing the risk, you slam on the brakes and stop moving forward in your career. You are letting the blinking lights grab the steering wheel. You have a choice. You can be the driver or you can be the passenger in a car driven by a toddler, because that is what your emotional brain is, a toddler. It wants what it wants, and it wants it now. That's the key. You must separate the feeling from the action.
Just because you feel it does not mean you have to do it. Just because the light is blinking does not mean you have to panic. Emotions are data, not directives. A directive is an order, do this. Data is information, this is happening. Let's decode the dashboard. Let's look at what the lights actually mean. Anger, the narrative. I hate him, I need to yell. The data, a boundary has been crossed, or your expectations were not met. The action, reestablish the boundary calmly, or adjust your unrealistic expectations. Fear, the narrative. I can't do this, I will fail. The data, there is an unknown variable ahead. You are entering new territory. The action, prepare. Gather more information. Proceed with caution, but proceed. Sadness, the narrative. My life is over. I am depressed. The data, you have lost something of value. You need to process a transition. The action, allow the recovery time. Reassess what matters. Do you see the difference? The narrative is a trap. The data is a tool. When you view emotions as data, you strip them of their power to control you. You objectify them. You look at the dashboard and say, interesting, the anxiety light is flickering. I must be dehydrated, or perhaps I am underprepared. Then you fix the problem. You do not become the problem. Feel the wave, do not drown. This brings us to the technique of detached acceptance. Some men think mental toughness means emotional suppression. They think it means pushing the feelings down, bottling them up, and pretending they don't exist. It's not about suppression, it's about discipline. If you tape over the lights on your dashboard, you will destroy the engine. If you ignore your emotions completely, you will eventually explode.
The silent observer does not repress. The silent observer watches. Imagine you are standing in the ocean. A massive wave is coming towards you. That wave is a surge of rage. If you turn and run, it will crash on your back and crush you. If you try to punch the wave, you will look foolish and you will drown. What do? You stand still. You plant your feet. You take a breath. You let the wave wash over you. It hits you. It is cold. It is heavy. You feel the pressure. You feel the force, but you do not move.
And what happens to every single wave in the history of the ocean? It passes. It rises. It crests. It crashes. And then it recedes back into the sea. Feel the wave. Do not drown. Every emotion is a wave. It has a beginning, a middle, and an end. The average lifespan of a strong emotion, neurochemically, is about 90 seconds. If you do not feed it with a story, if you do not feed it with a reaction, it will burn itself out in less than 2 minutes. Your only job is to survive those 90 seconds. When the anger hits, don't speak, don't act, just stand there. Feel the heat in your chest. Feel the tension in your jaw. Say to yourself, here is the wave. Watch it peak. Watch it start to fade. It will fade. It always fades. Emotions are just information. The problem arises when you attach a story to the wave. That keeps the wave alive. That turns a 90-second wave into a 10-year storm. You remember an insult from 2015. You feel angry. Then you tell yourself, they shouldn't have said that. Now you are feeding the wave. Now you are drowning. Stop it. You have a choice. Let it pass. This is the ultimate superpower in business and in relationships. Radical emotional autonomy. Imagine you are in a boardroom. Someone insults your project. The anger light flashes red on your dashboard. Most people would react. They would defend. They would get emotional. They would lose the room. You look at the light. Data received. Disrespect detected. You do not let the light grab the wheel. You stay cool. You look at them with dead eyes. You respond with facts. You win. Imagine you are going through a breakup. The sadness light is blinding. It hurts. Most people would chase. They would beg. They would send drunk texts. They would debase themselves. You look at the light. Data received. Attachment severed. Feel the wave. Do not drown. You let the pain wash through you. You scream into a pillow if you have to, but you do not pick up the phone. You do not abandon your dignity. You stay in the driver's seat. You don't need their permission to be stable. You don't need the external world to be nice to you in order for you to be okay. You are the driver. The world is just the road. The emotions are just the sensors. When you master this, you stop being fragile. Fragile things break when they are shaken. You become anti-fragile. You become a machine that processes data but never overheats. It's not about being a robot. It's about discipline. A robot feels nothing. You feel everything. But you are not a slave to any of it. That is a higher state of existence. That is the state of a king. Start practicing this today. When you feel tired, data. You need rest, not self-pity. When you feel jealous, data. You are not working hard enough on your own path. When you feel anxious, data. You are focusing on the future instead of the present. Read the dashboard, adjust the course, keep driving. Feel the wave, do not drown. Emotions are just information. But there is one specific emotion, one specific mechanism in your mind that is trickier than the rest. It is the part of you that gets offended. It is the part of you that needs validation. It is the part of you that screams, Do you know who I am? That part is the ego, and the ego is the root of all your unnecessary suffering. The observer reads the data. The ego tries to rewrite reality. You have taken back the steering wheel. Now you must silence the screaming passenger in the backseat who thinks he knows the way. Chapter 5. Starve the ego. There is a parasite living inside you. It is hungry. It is loud. It is terrified of death. And it is ruining your life. We call this parasite the ego. But do not mistake the ego for confidence. Do not mistake the ego for strength. The ego is not strength. The ego is the most fragile thing in the universe. The ego is the false image you have built of yourself. It is the costume you wear. It is the story you tell the world about who you are. I am smart. I am respected. I am successful. I am a good person. You spend your entire life building this statue of yourself. You polish it. You protect it. You demand that other people bow down to it. And because you have built this statue, you are vulnerable. Because anything that can be built can be broken. When someone insults you, why does it hurt? If I walk up to you and say, "You have green skin and 3 eyes," are you offended? No. You are confused. You might laugh. You know it isn't true, so it doesn't land. It passes right through you. But if I walk up to you and say, "You are a failure," or "You are ugly," or "You are incompetent," suddenly you are bleeding. Suddenly you are enraged. Why? Because the words hit the statue. The words threatened the image. You are afraid that maybe, just maybe, the statue is cracked. Who is offended? The false self. The observer remains untouched. The observer cannot be insulted. The observer is simply awareness. It has no shape. It has no image. You cannot break the wind. You cannot scratch the sky. You cannot offend the observer because the observer has nothing to prove. But the ego has everything to prove. The ego is constantly screaming, "Look at me, validate me, respect me." And when the world refuses to obey, the ego screams in pain. You have a choice. You can spend the rest of your life defending this fragile statue, running around trying to patch the cracks every time someone is rude to you, or you can let the statue crumble. That's the key. You must kill the false self to liberate the true self. You must starve the ego. How do you starve it? You stop feeding it what it wants. The ego eats 2 things: validation and defense.
First, let's talk about validation. You post a photo. You wait for the likes. You tell a joke. You wait for the laugh. You do a good job. You wait for the praise. If you get it, the ego gets fat. It feels high. I am special, it says. If you don't get it, the ego starves. It feels low. I am worthless, it says. As long as you are chasing validation, you are a slave to other people's opinions. You don't need their permission to exist. You don't need their permission to be valuable. Every time you check for a reaction, you are feeding the beast. Stop it. Do the work because it needs to be done, not for the applause. The applause is just noise. Second, and more importantly, is defense. The ego demands to be defended. Someone cuts you off in traffic. The ego screams, "How dare they? Do they know who I am?" Someone criticizes your work. The ego screams, "They are wrong. I need to explain why I am right." This is the trap.
The moment you start defending yourself, you have already lost. Because by defending the image, you are admitting that the image is real and that it can be damaged. It's not about pride, it's about discipline. The discipline of non-defense. The discipline of letting them be wrong about you. This is the hardest thing you will ever do. When someone lies about you, every fiber of your biological being wants to correct the record. Every part of your brain wants to fight back. But the silent observer does not fight. The silent observer watches the ego get bruised and does nothing. Who is offended? The false self. The observer remains untouched. Let's look at the ghost in the machine. When you really look for this self that is so hurt, what do you find? You are angry because someone disrespected you. But where is this you? Is it your arm? No. Is it your brain tissue? No. It is a ghost. It is a mental construct. It is a hallucination. You are fighting wars to protect a ghost. Imagine you are a billionaire. Someone walks up to you and says, "You're poor." Do you pull out your bank statements? Do you argue? Do you get angry? No. You smile. You walk away. You know the truth. You have nothing to prove.
Now imagine you are broke, pretending to be rich. Someone says, "You're poor." Now you fight. Now you scream. Now you flash your leased watch. The need to defend proves the insecurity. The need to defend proves the ego is in charge. Who is offended? The false self. The observer remains untouched. If you want to become bulletproof, you must stop wearing the armor. The armor is the target. If you have no image to protect, you have no target for them to hit. Here is your instruction. The next time someone insults you, ignore it. Not a passive-aggressive ignore, not a seething in silence ignore. I mean a total, radical indifference. Watch the insult land. Watch your ego scream, "Fight back," and simply say, "No." Let the other person think they won. Let them think you are weak. Let them think you are stupid. You don't need their permission to be smart. You don't need their permission to be strong. When you refuse to defend the ego, you starve it. It gets weaker. Its voice gets quieter. And as the ego dies, the observer wakes up. You realize that their words are just sound waves in the air. They have no physical mass. They cannot cut you. They can only hurt the ghost, and you are not the ghost. Who is offended? The false self. The observer remains untouched. This practice requires immense mental toughness. It is easy to punch back. It is easy to argue in the comments section. It is easy to gossip. It is hard to be silent. It is hard to swallow the urge to be right. But that's the key. Being right is the booby prize. Being free is the jackpot. Would you rather be right or would you rather be free? You cannot be both. If you want to be right, you must wrestle in the mud. You must engage with the idiots. You must lower yourself to their level to prove your point. If you want to be free, you must ascend. You must leave the statue behind. It's not about being passive, it's about discipline. It is about conserving your energy for things that actually matter. Every minute you spend defending your ego is a minute you are not building your empire. Every ounce of energy you spend worrying about what they think is an ounce of energy you are stealing from your purpose. Starve the parasite, feed the mission.
When you stop caring about the image, you become dangerous. You become impossible to manipulate. If you cannot be flattered, you cannot be bought. If you cannot be insulted, you cannot be provoked. You are off the grid. You are a ghost. Who is offended? The false self. The observer remains untouched. This is the path of total liberation. When the ego is finally starved into submission, silence remains. The noise of me dies down, and in that silence, you can finally see the world clearly. You are no longer looking at the world through the distortion of your own insecurity. You are no longer looking at the world wondering, how does this affect my reputation? You are just looking. And when you can just look, without fear, without pride, without the need for validation, you gain a perspective that 99% of humans never achieve. You rise above the maze. You stop bumping into walls. You see the whole picture. You have killed the reflex. You have separated from the thoughts. You have mastered the emotions, and now you have strangled the ego. You are empty, and because you are empty, you are ready to see the truth. You are ready to stop fighting on the ground floor and move to the high ground. You are ready to see the board.
Chapter 6. The View from the Balcony. Imagine a crowded nightclub. The music is deafening. The lights are flashing. Bodies are slamming into you from every direction. You are sweating. You can't hear yourself think. You are getting pushed, stepped on, and spun around. This is where you live. This is the dance floor. When you are on the dance floor, you have zero perspective. You can only see the person right in front of your face. You can only react to the immediate shove in your back. You are trapped in the chaos. You are fighting for survival in every single moment. Now, imagine there is a staircase in the corner of the room. You fight your way through the crowd. You climb the stairs. You walk out onto the balcony overlooking the club. Suddenly, everything changes. The music is still playing, but it isn't deafening. The crowd is still moving, but they aren't touching you. You look down, you see the patterns. You see the flow of the crowd. You see the empty spaces. You see the exit. You have not left the building. You have simply changed your elevation. Zoom out. See the board. Make the move. Most people try to solve their problems while they are still on the dance floor. They try to fix a crisis while they are drowning in the crisis. They are reactive, emotional, and blind. You cannot solve a problem with the same level of consciousness that created it. You cannot navigate a maze while you are staring at the wall. To win, you must leave the floor. You must go to the balcony. This is the strategic advantage of the silent observer. The observer is not in the mess. The observer is looking at the mess. That's the key. When you detach, you are not running away. You are gaining altitude. You are moving from a tactical position, fighting in the trenches, to a strategic position, commanding from the hill. Think of a general in war. Does the general grab a rifle and run into the mud? No. If he does that, the army loses. The general stands on the hill. He looks at the map. He watches the movement of the troops. He is cold. He is distant. He is removed. Because he is removed, he can see the path to victory. Zoom out. See the board, make the move.
You are the general of your own life, but you are acting like a private. You are running around shooting at every noise, getting dirty, getting exhausted, and wondering why you are losing the war. Stop fighting. Start commanding. When a crisis hits, your business loses a client, your partner asks for a break, your health takes a hit, panic sets in. Why? Because you are zoomed in too tight. You are looking at the problem through a microscope. All you see is the obstacle. It looks massive. It blocks out the sun. You have a choice.
You can stay zoomed in and let the panic consume you, or you can pull the camera back. Zoom out. When you zoom out, the obstacle gets smaller. You see what is around it. You see that this disaster is just one bad month in a 10-year career. You see that this heartbreak is just one chapter in a long book. When you zoom out, the panic dissolves. Panic creates tunnel vision. It locks your focus on the threat. The observer breaks the tunnel vision. It opens the field of view. See the board. Life is a game of chess. If you are staring at a single pawn, you will lose. You need to see the whole board. You need to see your pieces, their pieces, and the potential moves 3 steps ahead. Panic only exists when you are trapped in the timeline. The dance floor is the tyranny of now. I need to fix this now. They are yelling at me now. I am hurting now. The observer exists outside of time. The observer looks at the timeline from above. When you are on the balcony, you realize that urgency is often an illusion. Most things that feel like emergencies are just noise. The email that needs a reply in 5 minutes? Noise. The rumor? Noise. The sudden change in plans? Noise. You don't need their permission to slow down. You don't need their permission to step back and think. In fact, the most powerful move you can make in a crisis is to stop moving. When everyone else is running around like headless chickens, you stand still. You ascend. You look down. You ask, what is actually happening here? What is the root cause? What is the leverage point? It's not about intelligence, it's about discipline. The discipline of elevation. Let's apply this. Scenario: you lose your biggest client. 40% of your revenue is gone. The dance floor reaction? Panic. Call everyone. Beg. Cut prices. Scream at your team. Lose sleep. Get desperate. The balcony view: you zoom out. You look at the business. You realize that client was toxic. They took up 80% of your time. You see a pattern. Your business model was fragile. The move? You don't beg them to come back. You use the free time to rebuild your offer. You pivot to a better market. You come out stronger. Scenario: a family argument explodes during the holidays. The dance floor reaction? You yell back. You bring up past grievances. You ruin the dinner. The balcony view: you zoom out. You see the pattern. Your father is aging and scared. Your brother is insecure about his job. They are acting out a script that has been running for 20 years. The move? You don't engage. You pass the salt. You smile. You change the subject. You win by not playing. Zoom out. See the board. Make the move. Every time you feel the heat rising, that is your signal. The heat means you're on the dance floor. The heat means you are too close. Distance brings clarity. Detachment brings accuracy. You must build a mental balcony, a place in your mind where you can go instantly. It takes practice. When the phone rings and it's bad news, don't answer. Go to the balcony. When the market crashes, don't sell. Go to the balcony. When the doctor gives you a diagnosis, don't Google it for 5 hours. Go to the balcony. From the balcony, you can make the cold, logical calculation. If I do X, then Y happens. If I do A, then B happens. This is how surgeons operate. If a surgeon felt the emotional weight of this is a father, a husband, a son while cutting into a heart, his hands would shake, he would fail. He detaches, he zooms out. He sees the tissue, the valve, the artery. He sees the mechanics, he makes the move. You must be the surgeon of your own life. You cannot afford to be emotional about your own survival. It's not about being heartless, it's about discipline. It is about loving your future enough to protect it from your present emotions. The view from the balcony is lonely. When you're up there, you're not part of the group. You're not sharing in the collective hysteria. People might think you're cold. They might think you don't care. Let them.
You don't need their permission to be effective. While they're panicking, you are planning. While they're reacting, you are strategizing. And when the dust settles, you will be the ones standing, and they will be the ones looking to you for answers. Zoom out, see the board, make the move. This is the ultimate form of self-mastery. To be in the world, but not of it. To participate in the game, but to view it from above. Once you master this, you stop making mistakes based on fear. You stop making short-term decisions that destroy long-term value. You become a grand master. But even from the balcony, even with the perfect strategy, there is one thing you cannot avoid. You can avoid the drama, you can avoid the confusion, but you cannot avoid the pain. Life is difficult. Hardship is guaranteed. The balcony gives you the strategy, but it does not remove the burden. You still have to carry the load. You still have to walk through the fire. The difference is in how you interpret the burn. Is it damage, or is it simply a sensation? You have the strategy, now you need the endurance.
Chapter 7. Pain is a signal. Suffering is a choice. You live in a world that is obsessed with comfort. You were told that pain is bad. You were told that if something hurts, something is wrong. You were sold pills, distractions, and soft lies to keep you numb. But here is the truth. Pain is inevitable. You cannot escape it. You will get sick. You will lose money. You will be rejected. You will lose people you love. Your body will age. This is the contract of being alive. If you are breathing, you will encounter pain. But suffering, that is a different animal entirely. Pain is a biological signal. It is your nervous system telling you that tissue is damaged or that a boundary has been crossed. Suffering is the story you tell yourself about that pain. Suffering is the resistance. Suffering is the drama. Pain is inevitable. Suffering is optional. Watch the pain. Let's look at the concept of the two arrows. Imagine you were walking in the woods and you are struck by an arrow. That is the first arrow. It hurts. It bleeds. It is a physical reality. Now, imagine that immediately after being hit, you reach into your quiver, pull out a second arrow, and stab yourself in the leg while screaming, "Why did this happen to me? This isn't fair. I can't handle this." That is the second arrow. The first arrow is the event. The second arrow is your reaction to the event. The first arrow is painful, but it is manageable. The second arrow is what kills you. The second arrow is what turns a bad day into a bad life. Most of you are walking around looking like pincushions, not because life is cruel, but because you keep shooting yourselves with the second arrow. You have a choice. You can take the hit, dress the wound, and keep moving, or you can stand there stabbing yourself over and over again with the narrative of victimhood. Let's apply this to your reality. The first arrow, you get fired from your job. This is the pain. It is the loss of income. It is the shock. It is real. The second arrow, I am a loser. I will never find another job. Everyone is laughing at me. My career is over. This is the suffering. This is the lie. This is the parasite feeding on the event.
The first arrow, your relationship ends. This is the pain. It is the grief. It is the silence in the house. The second arrow, I am unlovable. I will die alone. I am damaged goods. This is the suffering. That's the key. The observer removes the second arrow. The observer looks at the job loss and says, income has stopped. I need to update my resume. The observer looks at the breakup and says, the relationship is over. I feel grief. The observer stops at the first arrow. It acknowledges the pain, but it refuses to create the suffering. Pain is inevitable. Suffering is optional. Watch the pain. You must learn to dissociate from the sensation. You must learn the art of endurance through dissociation. Look at the elite performers of this world. Look at the Navy SEALs. Look at the ultra-marathon runners. Look at the fighters. Do they not feel pain? Of course they do. Their nerves work exactly the same as yours. But they do not suffer. When a runner hits the wall at mile 20, their legs are screaming, their lungs are burning, the biological signal is flashing, stop. The amateur thinks, this hurts too much, I can't do it, I am weak. The amateur merges with the pain. The elite athlete thinks, the legs are heavy, the lungs are burning, this is just sensation. Do you see the difference? The elite athlete objectifies the pain. They view the pain as an external object, like a heavy backpack they are carrying. They don't say, I hurt. They say, the body hurts. They create distance, and in that distance, they find the will to continue. It's not about genetics, it's about discipline. The discipline of staring at the fire and not flinching. You can do this. You can do this in the gym. You can do this in the boardroom. You can do this in a hospital bed. When you are in physical discomfort, instead of wishing it away, zoom in on it. Investigate it. Where's the pain? Is it sharp? Is it dull? Is it hot? Is it cold? Break it down into raw data. When you decompose pain into data, it loses its emotional grip on you. It stops being agony and starts being high-intensity sensation in the lower back. Agony breaks you. Sensation is just information.
Pain is inevitable. Suffering is optional. Watch the pain. This applies even more to emotional pain. Emotional pain is often stickier than physical pain because it feels like it is you. But remember Chapter 3, you are not the feeling, you are the witness. When grief hits you like a truck, do not run from it. Do not drink it away. Do not scroll through social media to numb it out. Sit down, close your eyes, and let it hit you. I feel a crushing weight in my chest. I feel a knot in my stomach. I feel heat in my throat. Watch it. Describe it. Do not judge it. If you can watch the pain, you are bigger than the pain. The container is always larger than the contents. If you can hold the grief, you are larger than the grief. You don't need their permission to be in pain, and you certainly don't need to apologize for it. But you must not let it turn into a lifestyle. There is a strange addiction in modern society to misery. People love their second arrows. They polish them. They show them off to their friends. Look how much I am suffering. Look how hard my life is. They use their suffering as a badge of honor. They use it as an identity. Stop it. That is weakness. That is the ego trying to get validation through pity. The silent observer does not want pity. The silent observer wants truth. And the truth is, it hurts, and that is okay. Pain is inevitable. Suffering is optional. You must become an alchemist. You must take the lead weight of pain and transmute it into the gold of wisdom. How do you do that? By accepting the first arrow and refusing the second. This business failed. It hurts. Good. What is the lesson? This person betrayed me. It hurts. Good. Now I know who they are. When you remove the resistance, pain becomes a teacher. When you add resistance, pain becomes a torturer. You have a choice. Will you be a student or will you be a victim? The next time you stub your toe, catch the reflex. The first flash is pain. The second flash is anger, stupid table. Catch the anger, drop it, feel the toe throbbing. Just feel it. It throbs, it pulses, it fades. You survived. You didn't ruin your mood. You didn't yell. You mastered the micro moment. Now apply that to the macro moments, the divorce, the bankruptcy, the diagnosis. The pain is the signal that change has occurred. It is a bell ringing in the night. Do not scream at the bell. Listen to it. Adjust your course. Keep moving. It's not about being a robot. It's about discipline. It is about understanding that your capacity to endure is infinite as long as you do not poison yourself with your own thoughts. The body can break, the mind can break, but the observer is unbreakable. You are the sky. The pain is just a thunderstorm. It is loud, it is violent, it might shake the windows, but it cannot destroy the atmosphere. Watch the pain.
Stand in the center of the fire and realize that it cannot burn the real you. It can only burn the ego. It can only burn the expectations. Let them burn. When the fire dies down, and it always dies down, you will still be standing. You will be lighter. You will be cleaner. You will be stronger. You have learned to see the lie. You have learned to kill the reflex. You have learned to separate from the thoughts. You have learned to endure the pain. Now you are ready to engage with the world again. But you will not engage like you used to. You will not label things good or bad. You will not get swept up in the drama of other people. You will become a gray rock in a chaotic sea. You will adopt the power of total, radical neutrality.
Chapter 8. The Power of Radical Neutrality. Your mind is a relentless labeling machine. From the moment you wake up until the moment you fall asleep, you are pasting labels on everything you see. You look at the weather, you say, this is bad. You look at the traffic, you say, this is terrible. You look at your bank account, you say, this is a disaster. You look at a promotion, you say, this is good. You are addicted to the binary, good or bad, right or wrong, fair or unfair. You think this labeling helps you navigate the world. You think it keeps you safe. You are wrong. This labeling is the primary source of your exhaustion. Every time you label something bad, you trigger a stress response. Every time you label something good, you trigger an attachment and a fear of losing it. You are on an emotional roller coaster because you insist on judging every single twist and turn of the track. To become the silent observer, you must unplug the machine. You must stop the judgment. You must embrace radical neutrality. It is neither good nor bad. It just is. This is the mantra of the free mind. Let's look at the rain. The fact: water is falling from the sky. The label: it is a bad day. Who said it was bad? The rain is just physics. The rain is necessary for life. The rain doesn't care about your picnic. The rain doesn't care about your hair. When you label it bad, you are fighting against reality. You are arguing with the sky, and you will lose that argument every single time. When you remove the label, what remains? Water falling from the sky. That's it. No drama, no suffering, just wetness. It is neither good nor bad. It just is. You have a choice. You can go through life as a judge, slamming your gavel down on every event, exhausting yourself with opinions. Or you can go through life as a camera.
A camera does not judge. A camera records. It sees the murder and it sees the wedding. It records the storm and it records the sunrise. The lens does not cry. The lens does not laugh. It simply captures what is with perfect, high-fidelity clarity. Be the camera. That's the key. When you stop labeling events, you stop being a victim of them. You lose your job. The label: this is a catastrophe. The neutral truth: I am no longer employed at that company. I have free time. I have skills. I am currently in a transition period. See the difference? The label creates panic. The neutral truth creates space for action. Panic paralyzes you. Neutrality mobilizes you. But the hardest place to apply this, and the most necessary, is with people. We all have them. The toxic coworker, the narcissistic family member, the drama-addicted friend. These people are energy vampires. They feed on your reaction. They poke you, prod you, and try to drag you into their chaos. They want you to label their behavior. They want you to say, you are crazy, or you are mean, because even negative attention is still attention. Even hatred is still connection. To defeat them, you do not fight them. You do not argue with them. You deploy the gray rock method. You become a rock. A rock is not interesting. A rock does not have opinions. A rock does not react when you kick it. A rock is just there. When a toxic person tries to provoke you, you give them absolutely nothing. They say, you never support me, you're selfish. The old you The judge, how dare you, I do everything for you. Explosion. The silent observer, the gray rock, I hear that you feel that way. Neutrality. They say, did you hear what happened? It's a disaster. The old you, oh my God, tell me everything. Feeding the drama. The silent observer, I see. You become boring. You become unreactive. You become a void. Why? Because if you are boring, they will leave you alone. They will go find someone else to torment. They will go find a better source of fuel. You don't need their permission to disconnect. You don't need their permission to be uninteresting. Some people will call this cold. They will say you are unfeeling. Let them. It's not about being cold. It's about discipline. It is about the discipline of protecting your inner peace. Your energy is a limited resource. Why are you spending it on people who do not deserve it? Why are you spending it on drama that does not serve you? When you become a gray rock, you become invisible to the chaos. The chaos flows around you, looking for something to latch onto. If you have no jagged edges, no triggers, no reactions, no labels, the chaos slides right off. It is neither good nor bad, it just is. This requires a massive shift in your ego. The ego wants to be right. The ego wants to correct people. The ego wants to scream, "You are wrong." You have to tell your ego to sit down and shut up. You have to value your peace more than your need to be right. Apply this to the news. The news is designed to terrify you. It is designed to make you label the world as dangerous and doom. Watch the news like a scientist watching bacteria in a petri dish. Interesting, inflation is up. Interesting, there is conflict in that region. Do not swallow the poison, observe the poison. It is neither good nor bad, it just is. When you master radical neutrality, you become the most powerful person in the room. Why? Because you are the only one who sees reality. Everyone else is seeing their own fears. Everyone else is seeing their own projections. They are hallucinating. You are seeing the raw data. And because you see the raw data, you can make the best decisions. Imagine a stock market crash. The emotional people label it bad. They sell, they lose money. The neutral people see price drop. They buy, they get rich. Imagine a crisis at work. The emotional people label it impossible. They quit. The neutral people see a puzzle. They solve it. They get promoted. Neutrality is not weakness. Neutrality is the ultimate leverage. You have a choice. Every time you open your mouth to judge something, stop, catch yourself, rephrase it. Instead of, "He is an idiot," try, "He processes information differently." Instead of, "This traffic is a nightmare," try, "There are many cars on the road today." Does this sound robotic? Maybe, but it's not about being a robot, it's about discipline. It is about retraining your brain to stop adding unnecessary emotional weight to every single atom of existence. You are carrying 1,000 pounds of judgment on your back. Put it down. Walk lighter. When you walk through the world without judgment, you are untouchable. You are like water. You conform to the container, but you cannot be broken by it. It is neither good nor bad. It just is. You have stopped the labeling machine. You have become a gray rock to the toxic elements of your life. You have preserved your energy. Now, look at what you have accumulated. You have a massive reservoir of power that you used to waste on complaining and reacting. What do you do with this power? How do you weaponize it? You use it to control the outcome of every interaction. You use it to dominate without raising your voice. You use the one tool that makes everyone else uncomfortable, but makes you stronger. You use silence. Chapter 9. Silence is the ultimate weapon. We live in a culture that is terrified of the void. Walk into a room where two people are sitting in silence and you can feel the tension. It is thick. It is uncomfortable. One of them will eventually crack. One of them will make a joke, check their phone, or say something stupid just to break the quiet. Why? Because silence feels like a threat. Silence feels like judgment. And because the world is terrified of silence, the person who is comfortable with silence becomes the master of the room. You have been trained to believe that you need to explain yourself. You have been trained to believe that if you are accused, you must defend. If you are questioned, you must answer. If there is an awkward pause, you must fill it. You are wrong. Every time you rush to fill the silence, you are leaking power. You are handing your authority over to the other person. You are telling them, I am uncomfortable, please validate me. Silence is control. Keep your power. This is not about being shy. This is not about being introverted. This is about being strategic. In the previous chapters, we talked about detaching from your own mind. Now we are talking about how to detach from the social pressure to perform. We are talking about weaponizing the void. You have a choice. When someone challenges you, you can engage in the noise or you can drop the silence. Let's look at a negotiation. It could be for a salary, a car, or a business deal. You state your price. The other person hesitates. They say, that seems expensive. The weak response? Well, we can work on it. I mean, the market is tough right now and I really want this deal, so maybe we can do a discount. The result? You lost. You folded, you showed your hand. The silent observer response, you state your price. They say, that seems expensive. You say nothing. You look at them. You keep your face neutral. You blink slowly. You wait. The result? They panic. Their brain screams, he isn't backing down. He must be confident. I need to fix this. They start talking. I mean, I guess for the quality it makes sense. Maybe we can squeeze it in. That's the key. Whoever speaks first loses. Whoever rushes to fill the gap is the one with the lower status. Silence is control. Keep your power. You must understand that silence is not passive. Silence is an aggressive act. It is a mirror. When you refuse to react to someone's drama, you force them to sit alone with their own behavior. Imagine someone is screaming at you. They are insulting you. They want to fight. They are throwing emotional grenades at you. If you scream back, you have caught the grenade. Now you are both holding explosives. But if you stay silent, if you just look at them with total calm detachment, the grenade hits your chest and falls to the floor. And now they are just a crazy person screaming at a statue. They look foolish. They feel foolish. You have reflected their chaos back onto them. You don't need their permission to remain silent. You are under no obligation to participate in your own destruction. Silence is control. Keep your power. Now, let's talk about the cost of noise. Let's talk about energy conservation. Think of your energy like a bank account. You wake up with $100 of mental energy. You argue with your spouse? That costs $20. You defend yourself to a coworker? That costs $15. You explain your life choices to a critical parent? That costs $30. By noon, you are bankrupt. You are exhausted. You have nothing left for your goals, your gym session, or your business. You gave all your money away to people who don't even matter. It's not about being rude, it's about discipline. The discipline of energy management. Every word you speak in defense of your ego is a waste of capital. I didn't mean it like that. Let me explain why I did this. You don't understand me. Stop. Just stop. Silence is control. Keep your power. When you stop explaining, you stop leaking. You seal the cracks in the vessel. You begin to accumulate power. Have you ever noticed that the most powerful person in the room is usually the quietest? The boss doesn't babble. The king doesn't explain his decrees. The lion doesn't bark at the dogs. Only the insecure explain. Only the fearful justify. If you are secure in your value, you do not need to convince anyone else of it. Your actions speak. Your results speak. Your presence speaks. Your mouth stays shut. You have a choice. Next time someone asks you an intrusive question, why are you single?
How much money do you make? Why did you quit that job? Do not feel the urge to give them a report. Look at them. Pause for 3 full seconds. Then say, "Why do you ask?" Or simply say nothing. Just smile and go back to what you are doing. The power shift will be palpable. You will feel it in your chest. It feels like gravity shifting in your favor. That's the key. The pause creates the vacuum, and nature abhors a vacuum. They will rush to fill it with their own insecurity. Silence is control. Keep your power. This is difficult. Your biology is wired to connect. Your biology wants to be understood. When you are misunderstood, it feels like a threat to your survival. Your brain screams, "Tell them the truth, make them understand." You must kill that urge. It's not about being understood, it's about discipline. You must become comfortable with being misunderstood. You must become comfortable with people having the wrong idea about you. If you stay silent, people will project their own stories onto you. They will think you are arrogant. They will think you are mysterious. They will think you are stupid. They will think you are genius. Let them. You don't need their permission to be a mystery. In fact, being a mystery is an advantage. If they can't figure you out, they can't manipulate you. If they don't know what you are thinking, they can't counter your moves. Silence is the ultimate camouflage. Start practicing this immediately, today. When you are in a meeting and you have nothing valuable to add, say nothing. When you are at dinner and the conversation turns to gossip, say nothing. When you are angry, say nothing, especially when you are angry. Anger makes you stupid. Anger makes you reveal your weaknesses. Silence protects you until your logic returns. Silence is control. Keep your power. As you practice this, you will notice something incredible happening. Because you are not spending your energy on external noise, your internal battery will start to overflow. You will have more focus. You will have more endurance. You will have a sharpness of mind that you haven't felt in years. You are no longer reacting. You are no longer leaking. You are no longer seeking validation through words. You have become a closed circuit. You are self-sustaining. You have mastered the lie of the voice. You have killed the reflex. You have separated from the thoughts. You have starved the ego. You have zoomed out. You have endured the pain. You have become neutral. And now you have embraced the silence. You have all the pieces. You have built the walls, the moat, and the tower. Now you must move in. You must make this state of being your permanent residence. You must stop visiting the silent observer and become the silent observer. It is time to build the fortress that never falls.
Chapter 10: The Unshakable Center. We have arrived at the final threshold. For the last 9 chapters, you had been learning tactics. You learned how to spot the lie. You learned how to pause. You learned how to starve the ego and use silence as a weapon. These are tools. A soldier carries a rifle, but the rifle is not the soldier. The tools are useless if the hand holding them is shaking. Now, we must talk about the hand. We must talk about the core. We must talk about who you are when the tools are put away and you are left alone with the universe. Up until now, you have been a leaf. Think about a dry leaf on the sidewalk. When the wind blows east, the leaf goes east. When the wind blows west, the leaf goes west. If a car drives by, the leaf is spun around in circles. If it rains, the leaf is crushed into the mud. The leaf has no weight. It has no root. It is a victim of the environment. This is how you have lived your life. The economy changes, you panic. That is the wind blowing you. Your partner is in a bad mood, you get depressed. That is the rain crushing you. You get a compliment, you fly high. That is the updraft lifting you.
You are constantly moving, but you are never going anywhere. You are just reacting to the weather. You have a choice. You can continue to be the leaf, whipped around by forces you cannot control, or you can change your nature. You can become the mountain. I am the mountain. I am the unshakable center. What is the difference? The wind blows against the mountain, just like it blows against the leaf. But does the mountain move? No. The storm rages around the mountain, thunder, lightning, snow. Does the mountain panic? No. The sun shines on the mountain. Does the mountain get excited? No. The mountain sits. It is heavy. It is rooted deep in the earth. The weather changes every single hour, but the mountain stays exactly the same for 1,000,000 years. That's the key. You must move from reaction to existence. You must build an internal gravity that is stronger than the external pull of the world. This is the state of the unshakable center. This is not a mood. Moods are weather. This is not a feeling. Feelings are clouds. This is a state of being. It is the bedrock of your character. To achieve this, you must build the fortress of solitude inside your own mind. Imagine a room deep inside you, a concrete bunker, a sanctuary. In this room, it is always quiet. In this room, the temperature never changes. In this room, you are the king. No one can enter this room without your permission. Your boss cannot enter this room. Your debt cannot enter this room. Your insecurities cannot enter this room. This is where the silent observer lives. When chaos erupts in your life, and it will, you do not run around on the surface screaming. You retreat into the fortress. You go to the unshakable center. You lock the door, you sit down, you remember who you are. I am the mountain. I am the unshakable center. Most people think this kind of stability is boring. They're addicted to the highs and lows. They think that if they aren't stressing, they aren't living. They are wrong. Stability is not boring. Stability is the platform for greatness. You cannot build a skyscraper on a swamp. You cannot build a legacy on a nervous breakdown. You need solid ground. You must be the solid ground. And here is the hardest part. You must be unshakable in the face of disaster, yes, but you must also be unshakable in the face of success. This is where most people fail. They learn to handle the pain, but give them a little bit of money, a little bit of fame, a little bit of praise, and they lose their minds. They get arrogant, they get sloppy, they forget the observer, they feed the ego. You have a choice. If you let success go to your head, you are just as much a slave as the man who lets failure go to his heart. Both are reactions. Both are the leaf blowing in the wind. The mountain does not care if it is covered in snow or covered in flowers. It is still the mountain. If you win the lottery tomorrow, you stay in the center. You do not manic, you do not scream, you observe. Resources have increased. You stay calm, you plan. If you lose everything tomorrow, you stay in the center. You do not collapse, you observe. Resources have decreased. You stay calm, you rebuild. It's not about being numb, it's about discipline. The discipline of consistency. The world loves to see you break. The world loves to see you lose your cool. Why? Because it makes them feel better about their own lack of control. When you refuse to break, when you refuse to be moved by their insults, their praise, their crises, you become a force of nature.
You don't need their permission to be solid. You don't need their permission to be immovable. People will come to you. They will try to lean on you because everyone is looking for something stable in a world that is falling apart. Be the rock they lean on, but do not let them move the rock. I am the mountain. I am the unshakable center. How do you integrate this permanent shift? How do you make sure this isn't just something you feel while listening to this audiobook, but something you live at 3 p.m. on a Tuesday? You practice the return. During the day, you will drift. You will get annoyed at traffic. You will get worried about an email. You will start to become the leaf. Catch it. As soon as you feel the drift, say the code words, "I am the mountain." Feel your feet on the floor. Feel the weight of your body. Visualize the fortress. Snap back to the center. Do it 100 times a day if you have to. Eventually, you won't have to snap back because you won't leave. This is the ultimate freedom. Freedom is not having $1 million. Freedom is not living on a beach. Freedom is knowing that no matter what happens externally, your internal world is safe. Freedom is knowing that you cannot be destroyed by an event because you are not the event. It's not about luck, it's about discipline. The discipline of guarding the door to your soul. You are building a legacy of self-mastery. This is the work of a lifetime. The amateur seeks the high. The master seeks the center. The amateur wants to be happy. The master wants to be whole. Happiness comes and goes. Wholeness remains. I am the mountain. I am the unshakable center. Look at your life right now. Look at the things that worry you. Are they worth losing your center for? Is that argument worth leaving the fortress? Is that fear worth becoming a leaf? The answer is always no. Nothing is worth your peace. Nothing is worth your sovereignty. Hold the line. Stay in the fortress. Watch the clouds pass. You have done the work. You have dismantled the old self. You have constructed the new self. The silent observer is no longer just a concept, it is you. The gap is wide, the reflex is dead, the ego is starving, the view is clear. You are ready. You are no longer a slave to the voice in your head. You are the master of the house. Stand up, breathe, feel the ground. You are the mountain. We have reached the end of the teaching, but the practice is just beginning. The practice never ends. Now, listen closely to the final command.
You now possess the keys to the kingdom. But understanding is not enough. You must practice. The next time anger rises in your chest, catch it. Look at it. Ask yourself, who is angry? The next time anxiety whispers in your ear, look at it. Ask yourself, is this true, or is this just noise? The world will try to drag you back into the mud. It will try to make you react, cry, scream, and stress. Do not let it. You are the silent observer. You are the master of the gap. The cage is open and you are finally free. Do not walk back into the cell. Stay awake, watch, detach, win.